Hey, Colin.
Well, hey there, Ryan. What's going on?
Well, I don't know, man. Welcome back to the Selling Portage Podcast, episode 9.
Episode 9. Oh, double digits next week.
Hey,
Double digits next week.
we better do something special for number 10.
Exciting times. We should find a
We,
guest to bring on.
we could definitely find a guest to bring on. Um, I'll work on that.
Yeah.
What?
A real estate guest or just a special guest?
Maybe just bring a ventriloquist act on.
I was thinking a magic show.
Yeah, just do a magic show. Colin does a magic show. I'll sing a little karaoke.
Perfect.
Or we could actually try to find somebody, but no promises yet.
Yep, no promises.
It's been a busy couple of weeks in the real estate market here in Portage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking at as of today, and I got 8 finalized sales. Granted, well, I was going to say some of those could be in the RM, but I'm looking at them and they are not. They're all within the city. And 8 is a pretty high number based on a couple of my updates in the past few weeks have been like 1 or none.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty good. We've got a whole bunch pending. So next week should be more of the same. Busy time in real estate. The secondary busy time is kind of right now.
Mm-hmm. Right. Let's see, Wilkinson sold.
Wilkinson did sell. Wilkinson sold. You have questions about Wilkinson because that was my listing.
I don't have questions, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Somebody just bought themselves a nice house.
Well, it's an amazing place.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what they do with it because the place was immaculate, but it was immaculate and stayed the same from the time it was built to current. Mm-hmm. Other than the owners kept up with updating things like windows and roofs and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, but the decor stayed around so long that it's almost back in style, if that makes like I'm
everything always comes back eventually.
That's right. Like rose gold fixtures in some of the bathrooms. Like that's coming back.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It is interesting. And then I saw that there's one listing that dropped by it went off the market and came back on the market and dropped by a full $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So that would be 42 Armstrong. That one was at 699.9. Now it's 6 even. So
perfect.
$100,000 less.
A lot of dough.
That's what's happening is things are moving, but it is shifting to be a bit more of a buyer's market.
Mm.
Yeah. And we're not seeing, the trends that we see in Winnipeg still with the competing bids and all that. Not very often anyway.
No.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
Well, let's talk some home inspections.
And because it is a buyer's market, you will very often see that there is a home inspection on your offer. On the flip side of that, if you go into a neighborhood in Winnipeg where it's a sought-after neighborhood, the home inspection is the first thing to go.
Right.
From that offer.
Always a risky move, too.
Well, it is risky. It is risky. It allows a seller to basically just sell their house in kind of an as-is fashion and buyer beware.
Right.
But out here, home inspections are common. But in competing offers, you see them fall off sometimes, which is I've seen regret when that happens.
Yeah. Well, and you never want to see that happen to anybody.
No, you certainly do not. It's money well spent. But what are they looking for?
I don't know. You tell me what they're looking for, Ryan.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Colin. They're basically looking for a home inspector will go into a home and look at everything in a non-invasive way. And I mean that, what I mean by that is they can't like punch a hole in the wall, check behind it. They can't check out plumbing that is sealed in a wall. They can't check out insulation that is sealed in a wall. They will look at what's on the surface. They will often use infrared to detect heat loss. Now that's can be done in mild temperatures. It's not very effective. So
Right.
say it's fall and it's minus 20 out or plus 20 in outside and inside, it's not going to be effective.
Right.
If it's extreme temperatures in the summer or extreme temperatures in the winter, it can be very valuable. They'll check circuits to make sure they're wired appropriately or ungrounded. They will check behind cover plates, inside panels to make sure there's no double tapping or, God forbid, aluminum wiring that ends in copper.
Right.
So aluminum wiring can be okay, but not when it's moretted somewhere unknown to a different type of wire.
Right.
That's when you run into problems. Knob and tube wiring, insulation levels in the attic, provided the access is not sealed shut. So anyone thinking about painting shut their access to their attic, don't do that.
Yeah.
What else are they looking for? Age of the furnace, making sure if it's a gas furnace, it's lighting appropriately and going through the right cycle. If it's cycling on correctly, if it's an electric furnace. So all those types of things they're looking for, they're going to give you a good home inspector, which, you know, if I'm talking about locally, we'll talk about Steve Wasloo, who is Assiniboine Home Inspections, gives you your report, has priorities in it, whether something needs to be done immediately or down the road a little bit. If a furnace is old, recommend things like annual inspections.
Right.
And then maintenance tips. But that's what you're kind of looking at. You're looking for major, or God forbid, dangerous deficiencies with the home.
Right. And that report often turns into like your owner's manual for your house afterwards. You know,
that's
when you
exactly
want to
right.
reference the year your furnace was installed, you know, you don't have to go find a sticker on the furnace. You know, you can pull out that report. You can find information like that. So it turns into your own little user's manual.
Yeah, and it's not as simple as looking at a sticker sometimes, because not all furnace companies will write the date down there. They'll
Right.
have to be decoded from the serial number, which will tell you a manufacture date of your furnace, but not necessarily an install date.
The install date, right.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned the owner's manual, because you and I were part of a sale recently where the homeowner had a home inspection done and basically went through the home inspection and corrected all the things that were on the original home inspection. And that becomes property of the owner, and what they do with it is now up to them. And they were able to demonstrate all these things that were fixed.
Right. And it was I mean, the first time I had ever seen that, where they had left it out for the realtors or the clients to view. And I thought it was a great idea because it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, right?
Yeah.
When you see something, you know, in a particular listing you're talking about, there were some minor items that had shown up on the home inspection 5 years ago when they bought the house that had since been corrected, and no other major issues. And I mean, things can happen inside of a 5-year window as well, too. However,
you know, I will say before we go any further that we always recommend that you get your own, because that's a snapshot in time, and there is no liability towards the home inspector or the home.
Correct.
Yeah, for providing that. Like, they should still get their own. In this case, it worked out pretty well.
Right. It was just a handy piece of information.
Yeah. And that I also have to say that not all home inspectors are created equally.
Also
and
true.
Yeah, I've been in some real nightmare ones where so a home inspection should take 3 to 4 hours. They do the thing, do the walkthrough, the summary report with the clients, go home, do the report, send it off. There's once in one where I was there for 8 hours
Oh,
The home inspector would go in, and it was like a 600 square foot house in Treeherne, and the home inspector did an excellent job, but he went back and forth between whatever he looked at to his computer to do the report in real time. While I am sitting in the house with the buyer, and the seller is wondering what is going on as they're waiting outside for this home inspection. Should have been a 2-hour inspection. It also had an unfinished basement, so there was really nothing to look for down there. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I'll say on home inspections is if you have a friend or a father-in-law who knows some stuff, they don't always fill the shoes that a licensed home inspector would. They don't do the same kind of job that they would do often.
Well, yeah, I mean, a carpenter, your buddy the carpenter will look for carpentry related things.
Right.
Your friend the plumber will look for plumbing related things. Home inspector takes a little bit of each of those things and looks for it,
Right.
So they won't be able to tell you, the carpenter won't tell you that knob and tube wiring is dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's be realistic. Sometimes home inspections can kill a deal, and
I would rather they did.
I would rather they did. Yeah. You have to, as a seller and as a buyer, you have to be prepared for that, right? When a home inspection is done, it is done by the buyer and the buyer side, and it's for their own peace of mind. They're making a massive investment, and they want to make sure that there's none of these hidden things that are easily spottable by an inspector, but not by the untrained eye.
Yeah. Now, this is also a situation where it often opens in renegotiation of the price.
Right.
That shouldn't be a go-to for people. So if you see stuff that's normal wear and tear of a house, or it's, $20 to get someone to fix a reverse polarity plug-in, it's not necessarily something you should, try to reopen the negotiation for.
Right.
If it's a furnace, that's pretty major.
Right.
So, and normally in my experience, it's a 50-50 proposition. So a collapsed heat exchanger will often lead to a 50-50 sharing of that new furnace.
Right. Well, and I mean, I haven't replaced a furnace since 2019, but I got a pretty standard model in 2019 when I replaced mine, and it was about $5,700. And we all know that everyth's gone up in price since 2019. So
yeah, very true.
Yeah, it's nothing to sniff at. So,
but here's the example of the things that maybe shouldn't be on the renegotiation. So you walk into a house, you look at a furnace, you can tell it's old. Home inspector comes in, confirms, yeah, it's old, but it's working great. That's not the point where you negotiate a brand new furnace.
Right.
Unless you really want to. I mean, to each their own.
Some of them were built like those old horizontal handled fridges that still are in people's garage and work just fine to this day.
I sold a house that had a gas furnace from 1961. It was about the size of a Toyota Corolla in the basement of this house. And it worked wonderfully. And the owner agreed with me that they should just keep that furnace forever. Just keep your carbon monoxide detector with the batteries in it, and it will probably last another 50 years.
Yeah, no kidding. That's an old gas furnace.
That is an old, and it was massive.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still in the house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they would gain about 100 square feet of space if they replaced it, but
right.
Yeah,
it's like a Toyota Corolla. It never dies.
That's right. Yeah. All right, buddy. What do you want to talk? We want to shift to this. What else you want to go out and do on this subject?
On this subject, I think you covered it all.
I probably missed some stuff, but I mean, hey. give us a comment if you want to hear about if you got any questions.
That's right.
Yeah. City stuff. What do you got going on?
City stuff. Well, we've got a meeting on Monday. We're kind of back into regular schedule
Tuesday.
now. Sorry, Tuesday. Had another 3-week gap in between this meeting and our last meeting. So I saw just as we started the podcast, the agenda came through. So I look forward to looking at that. But I don't know. I don't know if I got anything top of mind.
We're back at Prairie Fusion right away. I got the invite for the State of the Province luncheon. So luncheon?
Yes.
The Parks Committee, the Portage Prairie Parks Committee, is always looking for new members, but they have a new chair. There's a new chair of the Portage Parks Committee.
And who's that? Oh, you? No way.
Yeah. So Melissa Draycott stepped down as chair after many years of service. I believe she's still staying involved with the committee, but she's no longer the chair, and now it's me.
Wow. Congratulations.
And we're almost at the finish line with Simplot Central Park.
I was there last week for the unveiling of the new public art there.
Yeah. You were there for the art installation. I, unfortunately, was home with the vid.
Ah, right.
Yeah. But everything's looking up.
Nobody wants that. Thank you.
Of course they don't. Of course they don't. That's why they stay home when they have it.
I spent my morning today frying onions, and so that made my wife happy. Got Thanksgiving dinner coming up, and I had to fry a bunch of onions for my stuffing. It's not really city related.
You're getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Well, then we should let you get back at her, fella.
Right.
I think I have company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your company.
All right. And
All right.
yeah, see you guys next week. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.